My daughter couldn't have asked more by user Alfred. My best friend owns a lakefront property that's only a couple-hour drive away from my home. It's the kind of place that only recently got decent cell service, and it was exciting when the only local grocery store, which closes at 6 p.m. and doesn't open on Sundays, started accepting credit cards instead of being cash only. Suffice to say, it's not precisely easy to just run to the 24-hour corner store for necessities. Last year there was a little bit of a problem involving someone who had had a few too many drinks late at night and a splitting axe, so this year my friend invested in a buttload, I believe it's called a cord, of pre-chopped firewood that spent the summer sitting a safe distance from the fire pit. Over the course of the summer we burned through about 90% of it. The remaining 10% posed a problem. Termites had found it, and the lake house is made of wood. 10% of a buttload is a lot of wood, and my friend rather enjoyed having a house. Solution? Bonfire. We made the most of it and threw a party. Friends brought up sides, there were several grills and a smoker being put to use. In the organizing for this, I was tasked with bringing up the ingredients for s'mores. A lot of s'mores. When I was tasked with this purchase, I made a point to ask around and confirm nobody had weakness to gluten. Nobody said they did, so I got the cheap kind of crackers. The party started in the afternoon and everyone was having a fantastic time. Several people who were out on the lake and got lured in by the smell of all the meat cooking asked if they could have some, and the answer was of course they could. My friends are those kinds of people. There certainly was enough food for everybody. When the sun started going down, preparations were made to light the fire, and the fun police Reed, wives/girlfriends, ruined everything by making sure no lighter fluid or gasoline was used. Just a regular boring grill lighter and some paper and a powdered wood left by the termites. Can't have everything. Once the fire took off proper and it got a little darker, I started issuing wooden skewers and marshmallows to the kids so they could make s'mores. Adults were self-serve. I didn't feel like I needed to inform them that they shouldn't poke anyone or anything with the skewers. One unfamiliar little girl and her mom popped up in the queue, and I gave her the same instructions I gave to anyone, and the kid's mother asked, "Do you have gluten-free graham crackers?" And I shook my head no and apologized, saying that kinda expensive, and when I asked, nobody said they had a weakness to gluten. I figured it wasn't a huge deal, just add another piece of chocolate and it's s'more if you squint hard enough. Shortly after that encounter with the woman, which I'd foolishly figured was settled, I heard a child scream and start splashing down at the water, so I dropped everything and ran over like most of the party had done. Duck plus water equals scary. All hands on deck kind of situation. Happily enough, the child in question was fine. He tripped and face planted off of a dock and into water which was about a foot deep. Just scared the daylights out of himself. Nothing a towel and a change of clothes couldn't fix. When everyone returned to the fire, something was missing. All of the stuff to make s'mores had disappeared. Marshmallows and skewers were still there, but no crackers or chocolate. Started to head scratch and asked kinda loudly if anyone knew what had happened to the crackers and chocolate. Gluten mom piped up, "My daughter couldn't have s'more, that wasn't fair to her." I just stare at the woman. "So what did you do with the crackers and chocolate?" "I threw it in the fire. I hate it when people deliberately exclude my daughter. Now you've learned you a lesson." I was still shocked at this point. "You threw the food in the fire?" "Yep, Walmart is gluten-free. You can just go get them. They're not that expensive." The nearest Walmart to the camp is a 45-minute drive one way, and most of the adults had at least a couple beers in them at that point. At this point, the kids who didn't get distracted when someone fell in the water are showing back up with variable amounts of char on their marshmallows, excited for their last s'mores of the summer. And they're just as confused as I was about where the stuff went. Parents are grabbing new skewers and marshmallows, realizing something's missing. Where'd the stuff go? I just point at gluten mom. This bee woman threw it all in the fire, since I didn't bring gluten-free crackers. She did what? Who even is that? She was one of the people who had shown up on a boat drawn in by the smell. Nobody knew who she was. Kids have started crying. Parents just look at her with disgust, and this woman has the audacity to say, "What's the big deal? Walmarts are everywhere. You'd better go now." She doubles down, starts getting louder. "You made me do that. I didn't do anything wrong. You did when you excluded my daughter." The person who had inflicted this woman on us shows up, asked what had happened, and upon being told what she'd done didn't even seem shocked, just tired. "I'm sorry, this is her first time up here. She didn't know." Gluten mom squawks, "No, we're going." Everyone had toasted marshmallows, but it was kind of a gut punch that she'd managed to ruin summer's last hurrah for us. An entitled mom just chewed me out because if she'd known there would be a 10-minute delay caused by my car battery dying, she would have chosen a different parent to pick her daughter up from school, by user maybe a lawyer 83. A mom from my daughter S11th middle school just went off on me because I offered to help her out by picking her daughter 11th up after school and bringing her to my house where the girls could play. Then things didn't go absolutely to her specifications. Her son's high school is just down the street from my house and gets out an hour later, so this saved her making 2 trips. Our girls are BFFs from elementary, but never played outside of school because we live far apart. Ideal, right? Maybe not. Afternoon I went to get the girls. The battery in my old mom van finally pooped. I can drive my husband's manual, so he offered to pick up and I texted the mom what happened, that my husband would be 10 minutes 15 minutes late. The girls were safe on campus and my daughter is used to varying pickup times due to my work schedule, and that he would pick up my son from elementary on his way back an extra 20 minutes total. They would still be back before she came to get her son from the high school. She called me, livid, because in her words, this was a serious situation that warranted a call, not a text, that being late for the pickup is not ideal regardless of the circumstances, that her daughter should not have to spend her time waiting to get picked up when she thought she would be playing at someone else's house, should not have to sit in a car an additional 20 minutes for the extra trip of picking up my son, and should not be picked up by a man she doesn't know, in a car she doesn't know. Mind you, my husband had attended school functions for years. He is not a stranger. She must have begun I don't appreciate the insert ridiculous expectation 40 times over the 20 minutes she kept me on the phone. Yeah, Karen, tell the manager about it. She seemed horrified that I was so chill, especially after she learned my daughter's Apple Watch's Wi-Fi only, meaning I couldn't call her, and that I assumed the girls were mature enough to adapt to a minor change circumstance. She actually challenged me on this, listing all the people she knew who could make calls on their Apple Watch like I didn't know my own daughter's watch that I bought. Not wanting to ruin things for the girls, I stayed chill with her but mentioned that no one planned my car to break and some flexibility on all sides was needed. Her answer, "Bro, I see you recalling me inflexible. Well, I want you to know I don't appreciate the passive aggression." She was further infuriated when I mentioned I was only trying to help by picking up her daughter. In her words, "I did not ask for your help. I don't not need your help. This is one of many social engagements I could have made for my daughter this afternoon, and if I had given all the information I would have made a different choice." She had actually hinted she needed the help before I offered. But from my daughter, I understand that this other girl doesn't have many other friends, and that the mother has been really forward about telling my daughter she has to sit with her at lunch, which my daughter doesn't mind doing, but still. I've found it a little weird that this woman has called me on my work just to make plans for our girls, but needs my answer right away because frankly you're not the only call on our list. But I figured she doesn't work and has nothing to do during the day but obsess over her daughter's social schedule. When the girls rolled in with my husband, they were, of course, fine, laughing, and hadn't thought anything of the extra time or the drive. But no sooner did they walk in the door than the friend gets a call from her mom and her face falls. For the next several minutes all I heard was "I am sorry, Mom. I am sorry, Mom. I am sorry, Mom." Over and over and over. Apparently a full minute had passed after I texted the mom to let her know the girls had arrived safely when they were just pulling into the driveway, and the girl had committed the cardinal sin of not texting her mom when she had been told to do so immediately upon arrival. This just goes to show an overbearing entitled mom is not the kid's fault, even if she is doing it all for her and is in fact probably making that kid's life hell. Sorry to say, I am not willing to have the daughter over again due to the mom's behavior, but I hope she and my daughter will stay friends and that she eventually finds a way out from under her mother's thumb. TLDR, my daughter's best friend's mom chewed me out because my car battery died on the day I was supposed to pick up her daughter from school, and I had to send my husband to get her slightly late, and her daughter had been in the car while he picked up my son too. Crazed Karen at parent pickup by user Sir Ramage. So I take my 7-year-old son to school every morning, and it's a mad rush of drop-offs and trying to find a parking space on our one-way street. It's in a neighborhood full of rich assholes who think they deserve everything their way, etc. This one Karen decided to speed through the parent pickup today and nearly clipped my son with her oversized SUV. Just barrels onto her and has a history of it, as this isn't the first time I've seen her do it. She gets told to slow down. I move on to drop my son off and get on to work. This crazy-ass waste of space parks in the middle of the road, stops her car and gets out to run right up to me and begins shouting and cussing in front of a bunch of kids. She's obviously insane. I walked away and she followed me to my car. She's screaming at me and school officials have gotten involved and tossed her out. Holy shit. How does one deal with these sorts? I'm at a loss, but wow, what a nut job. I told my mother to put her mother in a home. I posted earlier about the kind of selfish person my grandmother is. But despite that, my mother let her move in with her. And ever since then, she regrets that decision. I had a call with her yesterday, and basically she is driving my mother up the wall. My grandmother acts like a catty 16-year-old, complaining about everything and spreading lies and rumors amongst the family. For example, my grandmother has a car but that woman should not be driving, something my mother also agrees with, and my mom has my car. My mom asked my grandmother if she wanted her car parked in the driveway or in the garage. My grandmother said the garage, and my mom told her that if she parked in the garage, mom had to be the one to pull it out because the driveway is curved and she didn't want her pulling out and hitting my car. Well, my mom had her on the phone with another family member complaining that she couldn't go anywhere because my mom keeps her car locked in the garage. I'm happy that my mom called her out for. And she's also been calling her out more. She's basically been straight up telling her to her face she's lying. Grandma also told a bunch of people that she didn't like me or my sister that passed away, mind you. And the reason why my grandma doesn't like us is because, get this, my mom is helping us, her kids and grandkids. Like, she fully supports us, and my grandma is upset that my mom isn't catering to every want and need. She acts like all her kids owe her something. My mom basically said she acts like a queen who demands all from her subjects. And the real sad part is that my grandma had a medical scare and my mom said she felt nothing, like she'd have more sympathy for a stranger on the street. I comforted her, saying it's hard to love someone who acts like you have to earn their love, and no matter what you do, it's never good enough. She's not obligated to care for someone who abuses her. My mother's biggest health concern is her stress. She's already got high blood pressure and cholesterol, and at this moment my grandma is the biggest stressor in her life. She should be allowed to have peace in her own home. I told my mom that she either needs to tell our mom to basically shut up and fix her attitude or stick her in a home. I was much nicer in my wording, but that's the gist of it. Entitled Dad Doesn't He Believe Doctors by user facts I made up. My sister is plus size, but here's the thing, she is in constant physical pain. She has both rheumatoid arthritis in her shoulders and osteoarthritis in her knees, fibromyalgia, and more issues doctors are still investigating. She is going to MRIs on steroid shots and may need joint replacement surgery. She has been dealing with pain since elementary school. Her knees used to give out long before any weight gain. But my dad, he says it as all bullshit and just because she is fat. His brilliant medical advice? Stop eating. He even used to punish her by withholding fruit, which gave her a terrible relationship with eating. She used to hide fruit under her bed because he stressed her out so badly. He fostered binge eating and body image issues in her, and now he blames her for the consequences. He has even tried to cancel her doctor appointments behind her back because he thinks it is a waste of time. And it doesn't he stop there. I have a severe allergy to mangoes and onions. They can literally kill me. My dad refuses to believe it is real. His words, how can someone be allergic to one of the best fruits? So he deliberately puts onions in meals knowing I can eat them, and he used to make me pick up fallen mangoes from our backyard tree even after I broke out in rashes and had trouble breathing. He still insists I don't need an EpiPen because he once had a similar issues and got over it with enough exposure. So yeah, according to my dad, my sister is real. Documented medical conditions are just wait, doctors don't know anything, and my life-threatening allergies are bullshit. Dad of the Year material. Edit, thank you for the kind comments and advice. I wanted to address the awkward wording. I speak Japanese primarily and English is my second language, so I apologize. Secondly, thank you for the concern. My sister is in the hands of a good doctor and we're working on getting every test ran. In regard to my mom abandoned my sister and I when we were young kids. When she was around, she was horribly abusive, so my mom isn't an option for either one of us. Other family members have chosen not to get involved in our situation because my dad has, in the past, threatened to beat and kill various relatives for knowing better than him. Whatever that means. As for moving out, I am working on settling student debt I got during my first few years of college. I don't have my degree yet, but I work a dead-end job that pays fairly decent. My sister and I agreed that until I get that all settled, I can look for an apartment for the two of us and maybe we can start sorting out a life free of my dad. Thank you so much for the concern and advice. I'll look into it when I have an off day. Rest well. Kind internet strangers.